There's nothing more satisfying than a good progression curve in the game. Like, oh my god. I mean, what's better than meaningful passive upgrades, active abilities, and you can't forget randomized gambling mechanics. Hell yeah, because who doesn't like gambling? I just knew that I have gotta incorporate some upgrades and progression in my new horror cooking game. That's why in this video, I'll go over how I made a vending machine upgrade system to help give new motivation for players to earn more money and perform better while playing the game, and I even added a randomized cigarette dispenser to fulfill any wannabe chef's fantasy in my game. Because this is a horror game, I really want players to be as immersed as possible, which is why I had the idea to create a diegetic upgrade system. What this means is that I want to have a way to integrate the upgrades with the game world instead of having a boring pop-up upgrade menu. Since the game takes place in a post-apocalyptic hotel with the player traversing through various liminal hallways, I figured the perfect thing to match this vibe would be an old-style vending machine. Players could approach this vending machine and use the money they've acquired from their hard day of work as a chef to purchase any kind of upgrade of their choice. I really had to pull out my questionable 3D modeling skills to make this thing since my artist was busy, and honestly it doesn't look terrible, which is just a massive W. I made a fictional alien company with unintelligible writing on the side of the vending machine, and one of their sodas is inside, which is a player upgrade. To have a bit more variety, I also made a bag of chips, a bottle, and 2 different cans, one of which being a can of peanuts and the other a can of whole chicken. I honestly don't know how a whole chicken would fit in this thing, but that just adds to the whole mystery of it all. So after every day of gameplay transpires, players are awarded a certain amount of money based on their performance, including how many orders they completed within the time frame, how accurate these orders were, as well as evaluating their plating and cleanliness like a real kitchen. Because you can submit an order covered in straight doo-doo if you just feel like it. Once their shift is done, they can approach the vending machine and read all the upgrade descriptions. Once they find an upgrade that they like, they can buy it, consume it, and get their upgrade. Drinking the cola can increase your movement speed by a to-be-determined percentage once you drink it. Beer upgrades your cooking speed, so things will cook much faster. If you eat chips, they'll upgrade your pickup range so you can grab stuff from farther away. Peanuts will upgrade your throw force so you can throw stuff really far, and chicken makes it so that food is more resistant to getting doo-doo on it and getting dirty when it hits the floor. Finally, for the bottle, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and this bottle will always contain a mysterious object inside. One of the most common objects inside would be a key, and this key can be used to unlock various different new areas around the player that are all locked from the beginning of the game. I was kind of inspired by COD Zombies for this, having different kinds of gates for players to open so they could have a bit of a choice on where they go. Although since we're in early development, they kind of just lead to an empty gray room. I'll definitely need some playtesting though to figure out how to properly balance these upgrades, or at least try, because pretty much every single game in the universe fails at balancing. I think the system is a great start to doing passive upgrades right, but any good progression system needs more than just this. I got to thinking, what do chefs do the most? And that's right, go on smoke breaks, smoke cigarettes, don't smoke kids, but adding this to my game was just a no-brainer. I did some research on some of these old cigarette vending machines and used them as a reference to make my own. The way this works in the game is similarly to the vending machine. Players can use their money to buy an upgrade from the cigarette machine. This will spit out a randomized active upgrade that players can use at any time of their choice throughout the day. But it's a bit of a risk as they will be random and you can only carry one at a time for now, forcing players to make a choice on which ones to keep with them and which ones to toss. That being said, a lot of these for now are just temporary versions of the current vending machine upgrades that I have. They're also much cheaper as well, so that encourages players to do these. So in the future, I think I'm going to add a lot more unique and potentially goofy and fun ones to make things really random and interesting. By the way, if you have any ideas or suggestions to make this game cooler, I'm keeping track of all fan suggestions from my comments in this Google Doc here, and already implemented a commenters feature in my last video. So if you want to be next, drop them down below and I might consider it. And for now, that's pretty much all for my upgrade system. I'm going to add a third system, probably involving modifying some more universal quantity type upgrades, such as increasing your cigarette capacity or other permanent upgrades to make your kitchen easier to use and adapt to your playstyle. But these are going to be tied to future quests and other additions, so I'll quickly show some of the other new stuff I've added in my game this week. I put in some new ingredients in the game, including eggs, breadcrumbs, sliced bread, ground beef, ground sausage, and grated onions. Some of these new ingredients are part of my new meal recipes, such as meatloaf and the breakfast plate. Although eggs are really glitchy right now, so breakfast is kind of not working properly. In my last video, I added new cooking cooking mechanics to add some depth like grating, mashing, and pouring. But when it comes to actually cooking meals, I only have the grill. This is great for more of the simple meals in the game like steak, burgers, and eggs, but I knew I needed more ways to cook food and add depth to the system, so I made an oven. I tried to make it an old school style oven, and this works in a similar way as the grill, but it's meant for more of baking style dishes, obviously. So in order to make meatloaf, for example, you have to grate any kind of meat against a shredder to make ground beef, and you also have to grate the bread to make breadcrumbs. This with the onions combined to create a meatloaf brick. This brick will go in the oven to get baked, and there you go, now we have meatloaf. I've never actually eaten meatloaf before, and I didn't look up the recipe because I'm a little lazy, but I feel like this is close enough for now, and I felt like this is a great way to include some of the new cooking mechanics I added into one dish. As for other random stuff I added to the game, I reworked the seasoning that I added in the last video to have much more convincing visuals and physics, so it actually looks like seasoning, unlike how it looked like before. I also added a new diegetic pause menu to match up with my main menu, and I added an automatic opening and closing incinerator door so that players can clean up their kitchen and get rid of stuff they don't need. This doesn't serve any core gameplay purposes and isn't necessary to do, but it gives players the option to organize their space and throw out stuff if they're feeling it. And that's that. I've got a new base system for player upgrades that I plan to build off of much more, and some new features and ingredients for my cooking system to make it a lot more deep. But as I get closer to making a playable demo to post online for you guys to try, I definitely need to make this game visually look a lot cleaner and be a lot more polished. So that's why in the next video, I'm gonna focus on doing a lot more major visual changes and environmental work to make my game locations look a lot more detailed and interesting. Stuff like this can include even simple stuff like adding wires and plumbing and venting and different stuff to the game so that it can look a lot more like a real physical space. I'm also trying to add some sound effects and start making the game a lot more atmospheric to really show the world what it's like and be able to create proper trailers that actually look interesting. So thanks for watching, and you gotta subscribe to see the next devlog, or else I'm gonna eat all of your peanuts, so watch out, buddy.